Welcome back. We're going to complete now the second part of the final exam review. And here we have a problem that says, what is the solution to the system of equations? Basically here, I'm going to use the method of elimination. And I want to cancel, let's say I want to cancel the x. So that means I'm going to multiply the top one by negative 5. So that means the top one will become negative 5x minus 10y equals negative 10. And the bottom one is going to be 5x plus 2y equals negative 6. The 5x goes away. This will become negative 8y. And on this side, I'm going to have negative 16. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 8. Y equals negative 16 divided by negative 8 is positive 2. So that means my answer will have a positive 2 for the y coordinate. And I still have to find my x. In order to do that, I'm going to copy the first equation, which is x plus 2y equals 2. I'm going to bring this value here that I found, and I'm going to plug it in into the equation. So it'll be x plus 2 parenthesis 2 equals 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And we're going to move the 4 to the other side, so it'll be 2 minus 4. And this would be x equals negative 2. So that means my answer will have negative 2 right there. Alright, very good. Now, let's go on to the next question. Next question says, what type of parent function is represented by a U-shaped curve? A U shape looks like a parabola, like a smiley face. So that means this would be a quadratic function. And remember, the parent function would be y equals x squared. Okay. What equation represents the parent function of a straight line? Straight lines looks like this. And so that means this would be a linear function. And the parent function would be y equals x. Very well. Let's continue on to the next problem. Next problem says, pens cost $2 each, pencils cost $1.25 each. Her bill was no more than $25. What inequality could be used to find n, the greatest possible number of pens, and m, the greatest possible number of pencils she bought? Okay, first thing I notice is the problem tells me that n is the greatest possible number of pens, and m is the greatest possible number of pencils. So right there, n represents, let me write it right here, n represents pens. And what is the price of pens? The price of pen is $2. So let's put the price right in front of the letter. Okay, now this person is spending money on pens and pencils. So let's add pencils. And what is the price of pencils? According to the problem, it's $1.25. And so right there, up to this point here, I can go ahead and cancel letter A, because I know it's going to be wrong, because it says 2 times the number of pencils, and we know the price to be $2 for pens. Also, letter C will also be wrong. So that basically the question is between B and D. The problem says that her bill was no more than $25. So that means this here cannot be higher than 25. So in other words, this number here on this side must be less than 25 or equal to 25. So therefore, my right answer is letter D. Alright, let's go on to the next problem. Next problem talks about the graph represents the solution set for y less or equal to 3x plus 4. What coordinate does not represent a solution of this inequality? So basically the problem gave me the graph and is giving me these points and is asking which of these points is not part of the solution. Remember, the solution is the shaded region. So basically what we have to do is plot these points. So we put a pencil right there, and remember the first number tells us to go 4 to the right, and the second number tells us to stay right there. So my first point is 4, 0. Then we're going to go on to the next point, and this would be -3, -6. So -3 will be 3 to the left, and then -6 down. And as you can see, that point is also in the shaded region. So both of these are part of the solution. Remember, our goal is to find something that is not part of the solution. Letter C, put your pencil there. First number is 7, so 7 to the right, and then up 2. If you notice, this is also part of the solution. And let's try the last one. Letter D, put your pencil right there, -2 to the left, and then up 3. As we can see, our last point was not part of the solution, and that's what the problem is asking us to find. Very well. Let's go ahead and go on to problem number 18. Write a simplified expression to represent the area of a rectangular classroom with a length of 18 a to the 6 b to the 3rd units and a width of 8 a squared b squared units. When I read this problem, what is the key word? The key word in this problem would be area. What is the area of a rectangle? Well, the area of a rectangle is length times width. With that information, let's substitute. The length, according to the problem, is 18 a to the 6 b to the 3rd, and we're going to multiply that by the width, which if we substitute, it would be 8 a to the 2nd b to the 2nd. Now, using our calculator, let's go ahead and get out of the graph mode and press second quit, and let's do the multiplication. 18 times 8 equals 144. Now we're going to do the variables. A to the 6, a to the 2nd. If you have the same base, we can add the exponents. So it'll be a to the 8th, and it'll be b to the 5th. So this would be my answer for this problem. Okay, very well. Let's go ahead and go on to problem number 19. The keywords in number 19 is range and domain. Remember, domain means x, range means y. And basically on this graph, I'm giving this graph here, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but this point right here is an empty point, okay? And this one would be a filled point. I know with the printing it was kind of hard to see, but now we know that, okay? So for the domain, remember we're looking at the x, so we're going to focus our attention on the x-axis. We're going to take our pencil and move from left to right, and then we're going to stop where we first touched that graph that we have, and the first point we touch is right there. And what is the x value of that point? The x value is 0. And because that point is filled, we're going to include a dash, because we're going to include it's going to start at 0, including 0. And as we move the pencil across the graph to the right, the last place we touch that graph is going to be at that point right there. And the x value of that is 5. And because this is an empty circle, that means I'm not going to include the dash right there. For the range, you're going to arrange your pencil like this. You want to move from bottom up, and as you move, you stop where you first touch that line. The first place you touch is -1, and because that point is filled, you want to put a dash. And as you move up, the last place you touch, it will be at 8, and because that is a solid line, you want to put a dash. Okay, Alright, so please be careful with the keywords range and domain. Range means Y, domain means X. On the final exam, most likely this would be a multiple choice question, so please be careful with what the problem is asking. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next problems. So now we're going to do problem number 20. Problem number 20 says the following. The function of y equals x squared is graphed on a grid. How will the graph be affected if the coefficient of x squared is changed to 1/4? Okay, remember, coefficient. Coefficient is the number in front. In this case, it's asking if the number in front of x squared. So we're starting out with y equals x squared. And the number in front of the x squared is a invisible 1. If I was to change this to y equals 1/4 x squared, what kind of change would that create? Well, that's where our calculator comes in handy. So let's go to our calculator. Let's press the Y button. Let's go ahead and clear anything that we have there. And let's enter the two equations that we have over here. Okay, the first one is the original equation, which is y equals 1x squared, and the second one is going to be the changed one, which will be 1/4 x squared. Now this is very important. You need to pay attention to the order that you wrote. This is the original, so that's the first graph that's going to appear as we ask the calculator to graph, and 1/4 x squared is going to be the second one. So let's press graph and see what happens. This is my first one, and this is my second one. If you notice, the first one was a little narrower, and the newer one is wider. As I consider the multiple choices, the graph will get narrower. No, it did not. The graph will be translated up. No, that did not occur. And letter C, the graph will get wider. That's the right one. That's the answer we want. That's the right answer. Okay? Alright, very good. Solve the following quadratic equation. X squared minus 3x minus 7. And here I'm giving possible values of x. Okay, if you remember, this is a problem that you can use the calculator. First thing you need to know is the equation equal to 0? Yes, it is. So then we can proceed to use the calculator. But before we do that, remember, whenever you see the big line, include a parenthesis there, so the calculator will understand what you're trying to say. Okay, so we're going to go to our calculator over here. I'm going to press Y. I'm going to clear everything we have. Okay, very well. And now we're going to enter that equation, x squared minus 3x minus 7. Press enter. Now we're going to go to the table, so second table. We're going to delete everything that we have there. And we're going to start entering these possible multiple choices. Remember to enter the parentheses, so parentheses -3 plus square root. You press second x squared. If you notice the blue, the square root is over there. And we want to do 47. We want to make sure to close this parenthesis here. And we also want to close the first parenthesis. So we'll do the parenthesis twice, divided by 2. Okay, at this point you want to kind of stop and take a look at what you wrote on the calculator and make sure that's what you meant to write. Compare that with the paper. We did, and when we press enter, we're expecting to see a 0 there, because that's what this problem says. When will this equal 0? Well, this answer does not produce a 0, so I know that letter A will be wrong. Let's try letter B. Let's press parenthesis 3 plus second square root of 47, close parenthesis twice, divided by 2. and press enter. If you notice, we did not get a 0, so we know this is not the answer. Let's try the next one. Next one is parenthesis 3 plus second square root of 37, close the parenthesis twice, divided by 2, and we did get a 0, so there's a chance that this is the correct one. We tried the positive one, now we're going to try the negative one. So let's enter it again, parenthesis 3 minus second square root 37, close parenthesis twice, divided by 2, and we do get a 0, so that's a confirmation that letter C is correct. Alright, very well. Let's go on to the next question, question number 22. Question number 22 says, which graph represents the solution to the inequality y less or equal to 3x minus 2? One of the good things about this problem is the y is already alone, so you can identify letter M, the slope, and the y-intercept. The slope is 3 over 1, and the y-intercept is negative 2. Okay. Off the bat, I noticed that my slope is positive. And right here, I noticed that letter D has a negative slope, so I already know that letter D is not the right answer. Also, I noticed that my symbol means less than. That means less than. That means I go to the y-intercept, and I would be shading below the y-intercept. And in this case, that doesn't happen, so I know letter A is wrong. Both letter B and C, if you go to the y-intercept, it is being shaded below. They both have the y-intercept at negative 2. The key factor is going to be the slope. The slope here is 3 over 1. So if I notice, if I go up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, I'm not hitting the line. Up 3 over 1, I'm not hitting the line. So letter B is not the answer. Letter C, if I go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, I'm hitting the line. So that means that is a confirmation that letter C is my answer. Alright, very good. Let's go on to the next question. Alright, the graph of a quadratic function is shown to the right. What statement about this graph is not true? So here's I have a graph and I have some statements and I need to decide if it's true or false. The graph has a y-intercept of 0, 8. Well, the y-intercept is right there, and then yes, that is 0, 8. So this is true. The graph has a maximum point of negative 1, 9. My maximum point would be right there, and that would be negative 1, 9. So this is true also. The graph have an x-intercept at 2, 0. I see two x-intercepts, one at negative 4, 0, and the other one at 2, 0. So that means letter C is true. The graph has a y-axis as a line of symmetry. Line of symmetry is the line that goes right through the vertex, right in the middle. And as you can see here, the line of symmetry, it is not the y-axis. The y-axis is right here. The line of symmetry is this one right here, which would be line x equals negative 1. So that means the line of symmetry is not the y-axis. So letter D would be the answer for this problem. Alright, this concludes this part of the review. Please look for the next part of the review for the final exam. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.